What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Neek Game Break, the third and final episode of our E3 coverage. I am your host, Josh, and I'm joined today by our glorious geek samurai, Kiku, my partner in crime. He's not that beautiful, but he's still nice to look at, and he's wearing R2-D2 mouse ears. Kiku, how are you?
Good. I'm so ready to finish this extracurricular electronic expo stuff.
Yeah, it's been a really long week. I want to take a second to apologize really to everybody who's listening. We planned to do this a couple of days ago, the day that the Nintendo conference actually happened, but due to life getting in the way, Ray and I were not able to get it together and finish it. None of us actually were, and Kiku and I finally found the time to do it here today, the actual last day of E3. So just a little programming note there. A quick rundown of what we're going to do today. We're going to go through and we're going to do Nintendo and Ubisoft. We'll start out with Ubisoft. We'll go to Nintendo, and then we will do our Best of E3 awards, Neek's first annual E3. E3Es? E3Es. There we go. The Neekies E3Es.
They're extracurricular awards. How about that?
No, I don't like that. That makes it sound like we go to the gym, which none of us do. No. Going one time does not count. Going to pick up women also does not count.
I used to personally train people.
Anyways, starting out, Ubisoft. I think all of us across the board were pretty impressed with the Ubisoft conference this year. It went on way too long, though. I think we can all agree on that one.
Oh, yeah.
And it was also really interesting to start with Just Dance. Just Dance was our first game confirmed to the NX that was not called Zelda. So that was really interesting. Don't really think we have anything to say on that. But then they got to two of, I know, all of our most anticipated games. Ghost Recon Wildlands, first off, with the new story trailer, and then with that really awkward co-op gameplay, which everybody pretends that's not how they talk when they play, but it really is. It's just really awkward to actually hear it play out.
It was interesting that at a game conference, there was the liberal use of the word shit. Like, they just kept saying it, and I was like, I get that you're trying to mimic real life, but isn't this supposed to be semi-professional? I mean, it would have been cool on our show, but...
I mean, Ubisoft always tries to act like they're a little bit edgier than they actually are. But that was pretty off-putting to me as well. Ghost Recon Wildlands, though, it's looking really good.
Amazing. I'm so amped. Like, before, we talked about this. Our memories of the original
a couple of times.
Yeah, like our original memories of the original Ghost Recon and having a lot of fun with it. The gameplay for this game is absolutely fabulous. The co-op setup that they had, where they had two guys infiltrate and one guy snipe, and then like another guy waiting by the helicopter to come pick them up, and spotting all the enemies around the compound. And I mean, the map was massive. These guys were at least miles away. Like, the furthest guy was like miles away on the map, looking through binoculars, spotting out enemies, helping the two guys who were infiltrating. It looks great. It looks like it's a whole load of fun to play with friends. And I like that, because co-op games should be like that, right? Like, you should be able to either all four rush that compound, blow everything up, or do what they were doing, which is, two guys getting in, going in quietly, while the other guys are there for support and whatnot. I'm looking forward to it, honestly.
Right. There's a lot of ways to approach it. There's not just one way you have to do the objective. And you can also play the game solo, or you can play it with four friends, which I really like. I don't think it's going to be a game like The Division where you feel like you must play with friends. It's like any other Ghost Recon game where if you're playing it solo, like the other games have been, you command the squad.
Right.
That's really cool. I like the open world aspect of it as well. Ghost Recon being open world is definitely going to be a step further. I remember the Advanced Recon game, when it came out, about 3 or 4 months into the life cycle of the 360, being hyper realistic at the time. It was a very realistic version of Mexico City, and I've said a lot of times that's what sold me on the 360. This is the game I've been waiting for. This is the co-op shooter I've wanted. I'm really excited to see what happens. It is coming out at a very packed time next year, next March, next February, March, somewhere in there is when this is coming out.
March 7th, 2017 was the
March
first day.
7th, a week after Horizon. It's going to be a really, really, really busy time. But looking forward to it. This is hopefully will be a shooter that has some pretty long legs, not just multiplayer legs, but some hopefully campaign and story content to keep it going also. The Ghost Recon game's story had some pretty interesting story content.
Well, what I wanted to add too, you know, when you said the open world aspect is there are now vehicles, and not just like, you know, you can jump into a tank and go down, you know, one street, right, blowing everything up.
Mm-hmm.
This is like full vehicles, go wherever you want, and they didn't show any on the water, but there was definitely a helicopter that you could ride and shoot enemies to be extracted, and there were a ton of vehicles, cars, motorcycles, all that stuff. So one of the things that came to me was, are we going to be able to do 4-player co-op chase scenes? Because that's going to be awesome.
I hope so, and I think that's honestly something they'll wait until closer to release. They might save that for something like PSX to show us.
Sure.
You know,
well,
or,
the end
you know,
of
Paris Games Week or something.
Yeah, the end of the mission though, they were doing that, and I was like, well, is it computer controlled, or is that
Right,
it looked like it was them, right? Like they stopped the truck, they nabbed the guy, called in the helicopter, put him on the helicopter, and then they shot at, you know, the backup that was coming and flew out of there. And it was cool because it was a non-lethal takedown, right? Like they captured the guy, they put him in cuffs, and they even said, you don't have to do that. You could have popped him back at the compound and called it a day. So it's really cool that you can extend the mission by doing different things.
Right, and that's definitely probably the way I will go with it, just to extend the lifespan of it and make things more complicated. That's the way I like to do it. But moving on, you know, we're both really excited for that. To what I think was the most exciting game of this whole conference, for Ubisoft at least, and I know the one you're most excited about, South Park: The Fractured Butthole.
Love the original game. Stick of Truth is, if you haven't played Stick of Truth, you need to go play Stick of Truth.
So Stick of Truth is backwards compatible on Xbox One right now,
Yep.
but they're also offering it right now if you pre-order Fractured Butthole. If you pre-order it digitally now, I think you get it now. But if you pre-order the physical one, you'll get a code inside your game, which is really cool. It's a way to get people to play it. It doesn't feel dated at all. It came out at the end of the 360 and PS3's life cycles. Very, very good game. I actually need to go back and finish it. So awesome. You want to talk about that one a little bit? You said it's based off one of your favorite South Park arcs.
It is. South Park initially did a spoof on the Avengers, and it was called Coon and Friends, where all the kids, the main kids and some of the funnier side kids formed like the Justice League, basically. But this game looks to be based not only on that, but also Coon and Friends Part 2, which is a 3-episode arc where Cartman goes rogue, and he summons Cthulhu. I forget who it is. It's some death cult. But Cartman winds up making friends with Cthulhu and going around and like killing Justin Bieber and getting his way because he's got Cthulhu as his like sidekick, right? So everything that we got to see in this trailer was based on that, and it's exciting. The stuff that they showed, I believe the guy that was interviewing Trey Stone and Matt Parker said that there's 12 classes now instead of the 5. Was it 5, 4, or 5 that was in Stick of Truth?
Something like that.
Yeah, they're totally new classes. So you're not gonna, they didn't show one like the Jew from Stick of Truth, which was the best class to play as, by the way. But I mean, the stuff that they showed, like you had to be added to Coonstagram, like Instagram. There's gonna be a social media aspect to it. You still play the new kid, so you're being called douchebag. And when the guys came out and they started talking, they brought up the fact that there will be the gay fish joke. So Kanye West will be in it to be made fun of, which is awesome. The combat now is much different. It's no more. It's still turn-based sort of, but you can actually move around the screen now. Get closer, hide behind things, knock enemies into your friends to do like double attacks, knock them into obstacles for extra damage and stuff like that. So it looks like they've taken that step forward in it. But it's going to be Coon and Friends, which I'm just, God, if you haven't seen that arc, go out and watch it because it is hilarious. And as everybody knows on Neek, we love the character Cthulhu, so it just means that much more to me.
Right. So day one purchase for you then.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
For you and for Ray, I know Ray was definitely a big fan of Stick of Truth. He asked me before we came in to record this if I would say that was one of his favorites of E3. Definitely a standout for him. Moving briskly along, Watch Dogs 2. I know all three of us are in agreement. It definitely looks better than the first one. I never extensively played the first one. I played it for about a half hour to an hour and said, nope, it's not for me. I don't like it. Everyone who's had hands-on time with it so far has said it's better than the first one. It's embracing just wackiness this time. It's not taking itself too seriously. The protagonist is miles better than Aiden Pierce was, and it's in a brand new location. It's in San Francisco this time. Any interest there? Watch Dogs 2.
I didn't play the first one because I have a problem with sandbox games where it takes a very strong game for me to finish it, because I will get sidetracked being an old RPG hound like I am by side quests or finding collectibles or trying to get a special weapon. So when it came out, I was like, at first I was like, oh, it's a really cool premise. Don't get me wrong. But I was like, I don't know. I want to hear what other people say. And the first week, I don't think I remember one person saying you need to go out and buy this game. They're like, wait till it, goes on sale. And I actually forgot about it with everything else that was coming out. This one, though, it does look cool. And I'm not going to knock anybody for getting it, but unless it comes out and, you or Ray or, someone whose opinion I highly trust goes, dude, you need to play this game. I'm just going to, it's not something that I'm just like, it's going to add to my entertainment of my life.
Right. I kind of feel the same way too after I had kind of a lukewarm experience with the first one. And it dropped off the radar real fast. Everyone kind of, everyone hyped it up. And then it came out and literally I forgot it came out. It came out and nobody talked about it. I never heard any hype about it ever again. It was like, oh, that was a thing. Kind of like Mirror's Edge Catalyst is doing right now. That's kind of the reception I remember seeing. So really disappointing. I will be waiting to see a little bit more on this. But I do like what I've seen so far. I just don't want to jump the gun on it. The last game from Ubisoft, though, that I really, really liked, that I saw as a longtime fan of the SSX series. This is much in the same vein. It's called Steep. It's an open world title set in the Alps, and it lets you switch between skiing, wingsuiting, and paragliding. It's different. No snowboarding, I guess. It looked cool to me. I probably won't buy it day one, but I will check it out when it goes on sale. Maybe it goes on a PSN sale or something. I have a feeling this will drop in price pretty rapidly. But it'll scratch that SSX itch that I've been having that recently backwards compatibility did when it was brought on as a title there. There's really no extreme sports games anymore. That genre really died away with the 360 and PS3 when those came out. That was very much a relic of the PS2 and Xbox era. So I'm interested to see if this is any good. I'll at least try it. I like it. Any interest there?
I remember playing 1080 on the 64.
Love 1080.
I'm trying to remember the series on the original PlayStation because I played like the first three of them. I was totally in love with them. And then obviously Jet Set Radio.
They were just really wacky.
They were like crazy wacky. Like you do
SSX.
Was it SSX?
Yes.
There was another one too, though. That was a competitor that was pretty decent. And then like Jet Set Radio, the Tony Hawk games. Maybe Bored on a Sunday.
Right. I mean, I'll pick it up to have fun with. It looks like a game that's not trying to take itself too seriously. And I'm really intrigued by these three things are not things that are in games. And I think that's why I'm willing to give it a shot. It's a little differently. If I saw that there, if there was a heavy snowboarding component or something, which I'm sure is all but guaranteed to be in a DLC update, it would be a day one purchase for me, just because I need something to scratch that itch. But for me, it's different enough. I liked what I saw. It seemed to be a love it or hate it game, from the reaction I was seeing, but it's enough to intrigue me. Everything else was kind of meh from from Ubisoft. The two VR demos, okay. Star Trek Bridge Crew and Eagle Flight.
Niche games. They're very niche.
Yeah,
Like
I guess that's
it's
cool.
directed towards a certain market.
Bridge Crew is cool, but if I want to play that with my friends, am I supposed to bring my PC over? Trials of the Blood Dragon. I got really excited when I saw the words Blood Dragon, Trials of the Blood Dragon, and I literally, because I was not watching the conference, I had a family emergency to take care of. And when I saw that pop up on my Twitter feed, I messaged Ray and I was like, "Oh my God, is a new Blood Dragon coming out? Like, did Kiku call this?" And he goes, "It's not what you think. It's Trials." I was like, "Yeah, Trials of the Blood Dragon." He goes, "No, it's Trials and Blood Dragon." And my excitement completely went away and turned to disgust. Don't get me wrong, I like the Trials games if I can get them for like $3 or $4, because I get so irrationally angry that I just want to turn it off. Again, that's a Sunday game for me. That's a Sunday afternoon game. Blood Dragon is fun to run through, but I don't want to play a game with those mashed together. That's just me. I've never played Grow Home, so Grow Up does nothing for me right now.
Right.
For those who are excited, great. Division DLC does nothing for me. And then the last game, For Honor, it's a really polarizing game. I'm still not sold on this. So many people were sold on this at last E3. So many are sold on it now. I cannot get interested in this for the life of me.
I'm still trying to figure out what it is, like completely.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I don't think it knows what it wants to be yet.
Like, is it a third-person action title? Is it a fighting game? Like, it looks kind of like it's both, and I want one or the other. It looks
like it's trying to be a less epic Rise.
I would play that.
This looks like it's a Sunday afternoon game.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about mixing Viking, Knight, and Samurais. Like, I
will say this: I will get this on a Friday evening at a Redbox just to see what the hell it turns out to be. I did sign up for the open beta that they'll be doing this fall. I got to see what it is.
Sure.
I've watched footage and I can't figure out what it is. Maybe I'm just naive and I can't figure things out, but I like to think I'm a pretty intelligent guy and I don't know what it's trying to be.
No, I read stuff about it before E3, and still, even then, I was like, I'm not exactly sure what you are. And I mean, like, look, I love Knights, I love Vikings, I love Samurai. I don't know if I love them together. Although I will tell you, there was this movie with Clive Owen and Morgan Freeman where they mixed samurais and knights, and that was really cool. And I'm trying to remember the name of it now. To the phone.
So, that's going to kind of wrap up our coverage on Ubisoft. A really diverse lineup. Really liked what we saw there. For the most part, definitely two must-buys out of there: South Park and Ghost Recon, and then some other more polarizing games. But there was something for everybody, I felt, at this conference. Definitely one of the more expansive lineups that we saw, making really good use of their established IPs. I liked it. And then they took a really weird turn and talked about the Assassin's Creed movie for a little bit. Okay.
I mean, we figured that was going to happen, though. They had to, right? Like, I mean, it's something big that Ubisoft is a part of.
Right. I was almost expecting them to bust out and just have a whole movie slate. But okay. Anyways, Nintendo. Nintendo decided not to do an actual direct this year, and instead did what they called the Treehouse presentation. The Treehouse was something that kind of took place over the course of 2 days. The first day was Zelda and Pokemon Sun and Moon. The second day was Rhythm Heaven, and I'm not really sure what else they really showed. Didn't pay much attention to it the second day, which was yesterday, Wednesday. Had an
Yeah.
awful lot going on. Was trying to catch up on a lot of my third parties. Rhythm Heaven was really the only notable thing, and it was available immediately after, which was really cool. I know a lot of people were really stoked for it in the Neek group. But man, Zelda is all they needed. Zelda was magnificent.
Well, I mean, we didn't really expect much out of
No, we
Nintendo.
expected nothing, but
Yeah, well, I mean, we expected Zelda, right? Like we knew that was happening. Uh,
yes,
but the awkward Pokemon interview that didn't need to happen, really. Okay, but Zelda looks amazing. I shouldn't say it looks amazing. I'm hoping that it gets rendered higher. It's a little sharper when it comes to the image, but the things that you could do in that game are things that I think every fan has wanted Zelda to do since like 1995. It's a completely open world environment, 3D. You can scale walls, hang glide off of cliffs.
you can jump.
You can jump. You can use different types of weapons. They showed Link with a spear going all nuts on a troll. And then, of course, there were the few scenes where you see Link in full silver armor that was just, yes. Or as Ray would say, yes.
Yeah, I think Ray summed this up pretty much the best way you could on Twitter with his reaction. He goes, I wanted the Skyrim remake, and then I saw what they were doing with Zelda. Why do I want a Skyrim remake again when Zelda's doing it better? And I pretty much, I'm inclined to agree. I mean, there's things happening in this game I never thought I would see in a Zelda game. Chopping down a tree to use as a bridge across a creek.
Right.
Scaling the walls of a church, scaling a cliff, and it's not just a small cliff. You're zooming out. You're climbing up a giant mountain. We were talking about this. We both are sadistic and want to climb up to the top of the tallest point in the game and then just jump off and hang glide across Hyrule.
Yeah, definitely.
They show Link creeping through the fields and then jumping onto a random horse and riding that horse. You can go hunting in the game. You can do cooking. There's just so much. The environments are just coming alive. I actually only watched the trailer and then I watched a tad bit of the gameplay that they showed, maybe 2 or 3 minutes of that. So probably I've seen maybe 5 or 6 minutes overall, and that's it. And then I stopped because I was like, I don't want to see anything else. I don't need to see anything else. I am completely 100% sold on this game. I messaged all three of you, you, Ray, and Nick, and said, Nintendo did it with one game, a game that's actually also coming to the Wii U. They have sold me on buying an NX day one because I have to have this. I have to play this day one. I have to be there. There's no question about it in my mind. Yeah, and there were plenty of funnies thrown. Jason Schreier of Kotaku was seeing it on, was watching the stream like the rest of us and said, this game is beautiful. It's going to run at 10 FPS on the Wii U, but it's absolutely beautiful.
I'm
And
my opinion though definitely varies from that opinion. On the it being better than Skyrim, I really feel that, and obviously this is no disrespect to you or to Ray, I kind of feel like it's an overreaction because it's finally the Zelda game that we've been pining for over a decade, right? I want to wait to play it before I'm like, it's better than Skyrim. I'm not even going to count the remaster because I kind of feel like you can't judge a remaster against, unless they like completely change it, right? But
Well, I mean,
Skyrim,
the Skyrim remaster is essentially the version the PC has had for
right,
since
right, right,
launch.
right, right. But I'm just talking about
So
like the core game, right? Like,
right.
um, other than the ending kind of letting me down, like Skyrim was like the first Elder Scrolls that like I was scratching my neck, crack addicted to play while I was at work, or I was on a date and I was like, "Cool, can we just get this over with so I can go home and be back playing Skyrim?" Uh, Zelda looks like that, but I have a feeling that a lot of people going, "Oh, I'm gonna buy an NX the first day." It's like, yes, it's a game that everyone needs to play. I'm not going to deny that. Like, even I was like, shit, they sold me. But I'm still going to wait to buy an NX until I know that Nintendo's going to come with some games. Because that one Zelda game is not going to get me to fork over $400-500 for a new system. And I mean, as great as it looks, and I'm not trying to take away from it, but until they show a bigger game lineup, because if they're like, the NX is coming out, just obviously it's not, but example, it's coming out this Christmas and you'll have Zelda day one, and there was nothing else, I would be like, cool, well, I'm gonna wait to play Zelda then. Just, I'm not gonna do that. As much as I want to play that game, I can't see myself doing that.
Fair enough. That's definitely a fair enough assessment. And I mean, I know really neither one of us, and it's no disrespect to the Pokemon series, obviously, neither one of us really gave two hoots about the Sun and Moon stream.
I would have watched all of it if the way it was set up wasn't so. What was the word we used? No, not bad. It was just off-putting. Like they had the two interviewers and then they had the three game developers. Two of the developers were full on Japanese, obviously didn't speak any English, and the third developer was an American guy who was translating. But the back and forth was the interviewers were American, they were asking questions, then the guy would have to translate. The developers would answer in Japanese, the guy would have to translate again, and it just became tedious. It became this tedious process, and it was like, man, I get it, but it would be a lot cooler if the interviewer spoke English or spoke Japanese as well, so that they could be like, oh, okay, so what you're saying is, and make it a much more interactive process instead of these like constant stops to wait for the translation, stops to wait for the translation. You know what I mean? Like the developers had a place on stage, obviously. I'm not taking that away from them, but it was just, it started to drag, and it was like, the information was good, but it was boring. I hope Nintendo works some way out to where they can do a better back and forth.
Right. So, all that being said, let's go ahead and move on to our awards. We've got a few categories that we're going to do. We're going to go through each of the big three, and then we've got some fun little categories that we're going to do. So, best showing from Nintendo.
Zelda.
Oh, wait, we just did that.
We just did that.
Yeah, obviously, The Legend of Zelda, it's not even a contest. If you say something else, get your head examined. There's, I would say that semi-jokingly, but seriously, it's probably the best title Nintendo has shown in years at a conference. And the fact that it was more than just a tease this time, even the teases were great, but this was so much more than I think any of us expected, and so much more in depth. The developers clarified that there were no towns or characters really because of spoilers. We only saw about 1% of the map in that massive demo. That was really, really cool.
Which they said that demo was available on the show floor, and they said that in the 2 days that it was going to be on the show floor, no one was going to be able to explore all of it,
yes.
which got us giddy. We were like, whoa!
Yeah, that was really, really cool to hear. So definitely Zelda for their game of the show. Sony game of the show. What was
God,
Sony's most impressive? Now, to clarify, when we say game of the show, we had to see gameplay from this, not just a trailer. We had to see actual gameplay. So,
man, I don't. That God of War 4 got me hyped, but I gotta go with Horizon. Alloy is my bae. I love that woman. I want to destroy things, hack them, and take their parts with her, and never leave that world. That game is beautiful. There's so much cool shit you can do, and it's robotic dinosaurs. Like, it's robotic dinosaurs. Like, oh my god, I can't wait for it. Just give it to me now. I don't even care.
yeah, it's really difficult for me to choose between God of War or Horizon right now. And man, last year when we kind of unofficially did these, I said, Horizon was my pick. And I said, whatever year it came out in, it was going to go on the win game of the year that year. Even though it's going up against Zelda next year, I'm still going to say my prediction that Horizon is going to be a game of the year candidate next year, hands down. And yeah, I'm gonna have to go Horizon. It narrowly edges out God of War for me, and that's because Horizon was so much more polished, and that's because it's closer to release.
Right.
God of War was breathtaking. It was an incredible demo. It got me very hyped. I have not played God of War 3. I picked it up today actually. Ray got me to go get it finally. It is remastered out on the PS4. Looking forward to sitting down and playing it after my move, but you could also tell it was very early in development.
Well, Sony also set that game up, and nobody else has ever set a game up like that. Full blown orchestra playing the theme, and you're just like,
right.
Yes,
exactly.
and then they showed it.
That's the best intro to an E3 press conference we've ever had.
Right.
Without a doubt, that might be the best intro to a game demo we've ever had. But God of War 4, very early in development. It will be a focal point of their conference next year. Would not be surprised to see this as an August release title next year. It's my honorable mention. It's, so a couple honorable mentions, two honorable mentions for me. This one, and because, we've seen a lot of off-screen video of it being played, The Last Guardian.
Right.
Those are my two right now. If you're wondering why Days Gone is not, because I've seen a lot of people have raved about it. I liked aspects of it, but I haven't been raving about it. And
that's because you're not a Walking Dead fan.
It's not because I'm not a Walking Dead fan. It's just
it's literally Daryl's story. Like I mean, it's Daryl. Although Norman Reedus is in another game holding a baby.
I'm a little tired of post-apocalyptic games. I think part of it, I do like the tech behind it. I like how many enemies were able to appear on screen. I have doubts about the ability to tell a good story with it. What I saw did not intrigue me enough to get me hyped for it. I was just like, oh, that looks kind of cool, but it looks like something I'm going to get bored with after an hour or two. It did not take my breath away like other games in a post-apocalyptic setting, even with zombies, have before. It did not get me as excited. Not to say it doesn't look like it could be really, really good. It does look like it could be, and of course, everything else Sony showed was awesome. Do you have any honorable mentions? Besides God of War 4.
Yeah, well, God of War 4, Days Gone interests me a little bit. Detroit, though,
Detroit would have been probably ahead of God of War had I gotten to see game footage from it.
I'm going to put it to you like this: like, I'm a Quantic Dream hooker.
Right.
If they could have they honestly could have put up the title Detroit by Quantic Dream, and I'd have been like Game of Show. As long as it wasn't going up against Horizon. It's we said on the Sony conference one. To me, it's got a very Blade Runner type of feel to it, and I love Blade Runner. I love those types of stories for sci-fi, and it looks interesting. The title of Find Your Humanity. Like, I'm all about that. Let's do this. I I can't wait to see more from Quantic Dream in this game.
Right. And then moving on, Microsoft.
Oh, Microsoft. For me, it's a tie, right? Scalebound and We Happy Few are my two ties. We Happy Few looks like a spiritual successor to BioShock, and as many people know, BioShock and BioShock Infinite are like two of my most acclaimed games. Like, I tell everyone they need to play those games, even if they've never played a video game in their life. So We Happy Few looks to continue that kind of weird, strange look at an exaggerated dystopia America, and I love that type of stuff. And then Scalebound, I've been waiting for, and they finally showed us some good, decently polished stuff to it. And look, man, as a kid, me and my friends would run around the park pretending we were taming dragons and fighting monsters, flying dragons. So the fact that I'll be able to co-op, fly on a dragon with 3 of my other friends is a childhood dream come true. So those two are tied for me right now. My honorable mentions would be Tekken 7, because it does look interesting, and I love Akuma. And then Sea of Thieves, because I want to see you and Ray fight over the captaincy.
Only if you're the deck boy.
That's fine. I'll be the deck boy. If Ray pulls captaincy from you and says that line, I'm the captain now. I'll be happy. I'll swap any poop deck you want.
That is a classic Let's Play in the making.
No, right?
My game of the show definitely for Microsoft is far and away We Happy Few. It's a game that's been on all of our radars for a very long time. Ray
the
is the
longest.
One, yeah, Ray. Ray first played it for the first time almost 2 years ago. He's been very excited about it since then. Since we started the show, actually, he's been very excited. Got it on my radar at Gamescom last year. And the fact that it's now coming to Xbox Game Preview, it's cross-platform, makes me really, really excited. God, I love wacky games. I love things that are really different. I think it's a really different staple to be in Microsoft's portfolio, which is what they need. It did exactly what I needed. There's no ties here. It's far and away the best-looking thing I think they had. Honorable mentions. I'm going to go Sea of Thieves and Forza Horizon 3. I love the Forza Horizon games, and 3 looks to be a very different installment. You don't see games set in Australia ever, except for Mad Max. So to see Horizon 3 go there is really cool. I really like what Playground Games has been doing with the series. And then Sea of Thieves, I'm looking really forward to see what Rare does with a title not called Kinect Sports on current gen hardware. Supposedly this is a game they've been wanting to make. They fought with Phil Spencer and said they wanted to make it, and he let them make it. So I'm hoping that means good things. But we'll wait and see. So now time for some other kind of miscellaneous awards before we get to the big one. Most improved since you last saw it.
Game?
Yes. Since
Scalebound.
we last saw it at a show.
Scalebound, without a doubt.
Without a freaking doubt.
Without a doubt. It was, they shouldn't have showed it the first time. Kamiya even said, he didn't want to show it. He was forced on stage. Yeah. He was told 10 minutes before that he had to show something. It looks so much better now, and what we expect from Platinum Games. And we figured that, right? Like, it wasn't like we were like, oh God, that's what the game's going to be. Because once, after he showed it and he goes, that's like an alpha build. And everybody was freaking out. We were like some of the few people who were like, it's an alpha build. Calm down. It's going to look better. And it does. It looks, God, monumentally better, and excited. I'm excited.
Biggest surprise.
Biggest surprise. God of War 4.
Okay.
Not that it was, like, we heard rumors about it, right? We knew that something that maybe they would
I
show
said it was coming, so I wasn't surprised at all. Not even a little bit.
Okay, but maybe not like, yeah, we heard the rumors and I expected them to show something, but not what they did. And that to me was more surprising than anything else that they showed. Everything else was pretty much standard, like, oh, and the few like, oh wow, they're doing something with that. But when that theme started to play and you saw Kratos on the screen, like I was amped. Like I was just going out of my mind. And I was
Right,
at
right, right.
work. I was at work, remember, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, ah! And all these people are walking by me thinking I'm crazy. So to me, that was surprising. It was also surprising that there was even gameplay, right? Like I was expecting a trailer, and they had a whole
Yeah,
first level to show. That surprised the crap out of me.
right. The gameplay is what elevates it into my top three. I expected a trailer. I'm not sure if I really expected. I kind of expected gameplay because I was saying it was going to be a fall game. Um, I wasn't sure how much we would see though. I have two. Um, I'm not really sure if they're equal or not, but I do have two. One of which is the Crash Bandicoot remaster. Um, I expected. I didn't expect anything really. They did troll us though with the Crash Bandicoot shared at PSX. Um, yeah, nothing to announce at this time, and then come out when Crash's shadow was dancing as Sean Layden was walking out. That was awesome. That was awesome. I'm not even a huge Crash fan, and that was really awesome. Especially to hear they were going to remaster them, from the ground up for the PS4. That was really cool because those games, no matter how much nostalgia you have for them, are really, really, really dated.
Do you know why that wasn't surprising to me? Because they put it into Uncharted 4, and I was like, they're gonna do something with this. Why even have this in
I
here?
mean, I kind of thought that too, but they did have to work out a deal with Activision to do it,
Right.
which they did have to confirm. And we all know how Activision can be when it comes to those sorts.
You mean
So
Bobby
that's
Kotick?
why I also did not think it was going to happen. My other surprise was once we heard that Neo wasn't going to be shown, I was pretty sure that we weren't going to see the Scorpio at all, that we weren't going to hear anything. And like we said on our Microsoft wrap up, I really liked the reveal of it. I thought the video they did was really tasteful and was probably the best way they could have handled it this far out. Um, and I thought it was a really good. It was a really good and solid opportunity for them to say, "Hey, let's try and go on the offensive for once. Like this is our one chance to do it this generation. Let's do it." Like that's kind of what the hardware-based announcements felt like out of that conference. Between that and Play Anywhere, I really liked that. I wasn't really into it until Todd Howard started talking in it, and it
Right.
was like, okay, that's the moment that I was like, all right, I want to go back and rewatch this afterwards now because now I want to buy into this. If Todd Howard is on board with this, I want to start buying into this. These are developers that I respect. These are developers that I admire. I admire him a great deal. I admire Bethesda a great deal. If they trusted a third party developer this far out to give them their specs, about these are guys who are trying to make Fallout 4 possible on VR, and this machine's going to be capable of handling that. It's got to be powerful. And we had just
Right.
found out about Fallout 4 on the Vive the night before. There's so much speculation going around now, and they're going to play it really close to the vest going forward, probably. We won't find out a lot more probably until next E3. That made me excited, not just for Microsoft, but for the future of gaming. The ball's back in Sony's court now. What do they do with Neo? Neo just has to, be powerful enough for PSVR. Is it a arms race now? Is this going to be the most powerful console? Are these going to push us into the next gen? Is the NX going to get left behind again? It raises so many more questions than it does answers, and that makes me excited. I love that. And so I guess I wasn't excited so much for the announcement of a new Xbox, but for almost the announcement of a new era
Right.
of console gaming. Bringing it more in line with PC. This won't be the gen that brings it there, but we're getting closer. So I like that a lot. All right. Do you have any that you want to throw out there?
Any what?
Any random best ofs that you want to throw out there?
Um, Best conference to fall asleep to.
Oh God, that one. I actually have to debate that one because I did doze off at the beginning of Ubisoft's. Definitely EA. Without a doubt, it has to be EA, man.
Yep, same.
The best card game announced.
Card game?
Card game. Gwent or Elder Scrolls Legends? Which card game do you want more?
Final Fantasy VIII, because that's where it started.
I hate you. Oh, here's one. Most intriguing VR title shown.
Oh, that's a good one.
Actually shown.
Oh, man.
So yes, that does disqualify one that is getting a lot of Game of Show buzz, Batman Arkham VR.
Yeah, when it just showed the eyes light up. Yeah, I wasn't going to pick that one anyway. You know what, man? I'm going to go with Farpoint. Farpoint, look, we thought it was Destiny VR.
Yeah. I can't believe I said that.
Hey, I said the same thing. I was like, is that Destiny VR?
I was like,
Ray,
it's Destiny. It's back.
We're never going to get away from this thing. But it just, I think it looks like it's going to be the simplest game for them to put out on VR and the most fun, right? Like, first-person shooter, right. Let's just go blow stuff up. And I think we've all wanted to do that, run around in a VR world shooting things. I'm a little interested in Resident Evil 7 because right now it's polar, there's a big split down the middle for gamers. Some really love the demo. Some really don't like the demo because it's in first person and it's obviously meant to be played in VR. So I kind of want to get my hands on it in VR before I make that judgment.
So you're wrong on every count.
Okay, fair enough.
You didn't say Star Wars.
It's
you
just
didn't
a mission.
The X-Wing mission.
It's just a mission, and I already said that I was going to buy a damn X-Wing fighter pilot helmet and strap the VR to that.
I'm actually legitimately kidding. Of all things, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Resident Evil 7 and Call of Duty both look really good in VR. Right. And of course, those are really hard to demo. VR is really hard to demo. And I caught a little bit of flack for saying this. I was like, I really hate how, they have to make this a central point of the PlayStation conferences going forward now because VR is such a huge focus going forward now. And I don't want them to neglect it like they did the Vita at these conferences. But it's so hard to demo unless you're on the show floor. But for those at home, we want to know what's coming to this.
Right.
And they're doing this right by getting it in so many stores. It's going to be in 300 stores by the end of the month for people to try all around the country. It's going to be touring and this and that. And just, I don't know. I got to get my hands on with it. VR is one of those things, it's not going to be for everybody. It's really hard to do at a conference. We saw just how awkward it was, at Microsoft's. And I think that part of that's because it's freaking Minecraft. It's just weird. But
the presentation for Minecraft was just weird.
John Carmack deserves better than to be demoing Minecraft on the Oculus. But I won't lie. I did think that was a little bit cool for all of a split second to see that in on the Oculus. Then I remembered we saw it with what is a HoloLens last year, and that was awesome. Seeing that in augmented reality. And I was like, oh, never mind. That was way cooler. One last category then, before we move on to our big one. What was your favorite trailer shown? Your favorite cinematic reveal?
Let me go through my notes. Honestly, Tekken 7.
Wow.
I saw Kuma and I got giddy. because one day I will get somebody in a group message with you who played me in Street Fighter Alpha 2, and how whenever we would sit down to play it, it didn't matter whose house we were at, my house, friend's house, and it was my turn to play. The rule was no Akuma. Uh, I was not allowed to use Akuma, otherwise everyone would get their ass kicked. Because I could do lights out like nobody's business, and I would just do it the entire time, like flying across the screen. Uh, so I got giddy. I thought it was really cool, him versus Heihachi. Um, maybe tied with Days Gone, because it did intrigue me a little bit. Anything that, like, Sony is like the Disney right now of video game companies. They keep putting out stuff that's like such high quality, and Days Gone just intrigued me. The whole loner biker in the post-apocalyptic world. Just it's big now. It's big. Norman Reedus.
So I had 3 that I really, really liked. In no particular order. Obligatory mention for Halo Wars. Really, really, really liked that cinematic. I remember how great the cinematics were in the first one. Really like that. Really like what Creative Assembly does. I think Blur does the cinematics with those too.
Right.
So those are awesome. Always really, really great to see. I really, really liked the teaser with butt-ass naked Norman Reedus for Death Stranding. It's a Kojima teaser. It's not supposed to make sense. There were dead whales and fish everywhere, and I just want to play the game, even though it's years away.
You know what? And I do want to add that to mine as well, because it looks. What's the best way to put it?
Weird.
Like one of those black and white artsy movies about death and being, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it looks like that, and there looks to be some really introspective stuff in it. And Kojima is a very intelligent person, and he mixed a lot of that intelligence in with the wackiness that Metal Gear Solid is. So if this is a much more serious game, I'm really intrigued by that trailer and what he's doing.
And then my last one is definitely Detroit. No question about it. Detroit has to be the last one. It's been a while since I got that intrigued by a game trailer. So those 3, definitely all games I'm looking forward to. Halo Wars, if you're listening to this, has an open beta right now on Xbox. It is one of the only strategy games on a console. Play it, love it. Ray and I have both been playing it a little bit. It's really fun. So that being said, game of the show time. We're going to do our top 3. So we're going to do third place first. Kiku, what's your third place?
Put me on the spot.
I am putting you on the spot.
Man, so tough. I'm going to go with Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Ghost Recon Wildlands. Okay. I am going to go for third. Actually, no. You're going to finish. You're going to go second. Second place for you.
Second place is We Happy Few.
Okay, and then first place.
Horizon New Dawn.
Horizon Zero Dawn. All right.
Zero Dawn.
For me, number 3, I gotta go God of War 4.
See, man, I was like, I don't know.
It's it's really early in development, but I saw very few games that intrigued me as much as that did. And I saw enough gameplay that I feel secure enough putting it on that list. I debated between that and We Happy Few, honestly, between which one was going on there. Number 2 is Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah, that's actually a really big surprise. I did not expect that to be number 2 going in. And then number 1, without a freaking doubt, is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. there's no question in my mind what I personally think was the best game shown at E3. Um, I if there's enough footage for a game that I have to stop watching footage because I feel like I've seen enough to sell me on a game, then it's done its job. And I don't think any other game has done that. Every other game I saw, I would gladly watch more and more footage of it. But this is the first one in recent memory outside of Uncharted 4 that I can say, don't show me anymore. You already have my money.
See, that's how I feel about Horizon. Obviously because we were covering it, I watched the gameplay trailer that they showed during the conference, and it just amped me up more. Like, I don't want to know anymore, because the game looks like it's going to have a really cool mystery to it as well. Zelda isn't on my list right now. Well, it is on my list, obviously. In my top 3, only because I don't see when it's going to come out, right? Like, I wanted to put stuff on my top 3 that I'm like, I will be playing this within the next 6 months to a year, definitely. And really, the only reason that Wildlands is on that list is because the entire time I was watching it, all I could think of is me, Ray, and Josh and Nick can do a 4-man team, and we can strap C4 to possibly Nick, put him on a motorcycle, and have him drive into a compound and blow him up.
Yeah. I really think that Zelda is going. I think Nintendo's going to keep their word. It is going to be an NX launch title. NX is coming out in the spring next year. Zelda's going to hit the same time as Horizon. That's why I feel safe putting it on my list. We saw more gameplay from that than I think we did from any other game. Ironically,
right. I guess my biggest issue, and this is something we've talked about on the main show many a times before, is how mature is it going to be, right? Like, the story, because the games that I always have, like right now in like my top 5 games of all time, have much more mature storylines, and I'm a sucker for story. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that like Zelda storylines aren't intriguing and whatnot, but I like a good twist. I like a good mystery when it comes to my games. Stuff like the BioShocks, obviously we mentioned before. Final Fantasy VII, which story is very, very psychological if you follow the story and whatnot. So for me, like, I'm not saying the game won't be good or great, but We Happy Few and Horizon look to have those types of stories that I'm gonna just sink my teeth into, and we'll talk about for months afterwards.
Right, fair enough. And then Ray asked me to pass on his top 3 to everybody earlier tonight, and his top 3 are The Legend of Zelda, God of War, and South Park, in no particular order. Those are the 3 that impressed him the most coming out of this conference. He wanted to make sure that you all know that he absolutely loved those. And Nick, of course, is gushing over Zelda and God of War.
Gushing, I wouldn't say the word gushing. The word I would use is probably not appropriate for civilized conversation, but it would be more appropriate to a South Park game. Let's just say that.
Yeah. So, with all that being said, this has been an episode of Neek Game Break. This is the end of our E3 coverage.
Thank God.
If you like this, please like, share, subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, Stitcher, wherever you listen to us, iTunes, etc. Share us with your friends. Join the Facebook discussion group. Let's get some dialogue going. Let us know if you like this. Let us know if you want more discussions like this. Let us know.
Let us know if you want to hear us on a phonograph, because I might be able to make that happen.
No, do not let us know if you want that.
A little crank thing.
Let us know what games you want us to cover for the rest of the year. There's definitely some great ones coming out. Some of the ones coming up that we definitely want to do are No Man's Sky, We Happy Few, Forza Horizon 3, the Telltale Batman game. There's definitely going to be a whole bunch coming out next spring with Ghost Recon, Horizon, all those. So, guys.
Ray and I are actually picking up Technomancer in a couple of weeks too, just to see what it's about.
Okay, there may be Technomancer. I don't know. South Park, I'm sure there will be Dead Rising 4, etc. There's lots of great games coming out this year. Titanfall 2. Guys, plenty of games. As always, vote with your wallets. Don't go play it just because we say it. Take our opinion. Run with it. Watch other people's reviews. Listen to other people's reviews. Read up on what you want. Watch some gameplay. And then make a decision for yourself. Don't play it just because people tell you to. Vote with the wallets. Play what you want to.
Unless it's Bioshock. You must play it.
Vote with your wallet. If it looks interesting, play it. As always, this has been Neek Game Break. I'm Josh. He's Kiku. And we'll catch you guys next time. And Kiku, what can they do?
Keep gaming.